sahitya sangita kala vihinas sakshat pashuh puchha vishanahinaha trinanna khadannapi jeevamanas tadbhagadheyam paramam pashunam.
Today we sit with one of the sharpest, funniest, and most quietly devastating verses in all of Sanskrit literature. It comes from the pen of Bhartrhari, the poet king, and it asks a simple question: what actually makes a human being human? Listen to the verse first. Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihina Sakshat Pashuh Puchcha Vishanahina Trinam na khadan napi jeevamanah tad bhagadheyam paramam pashunam. Here is what it says. A person devoid of literature, of music, of art is quite literally a beast. Just a beast that happens to be missing a tail and horns. And the fact that this creature manages to stay alive without eating grass, that, says the poet, is a stroke of supreme good luck for the animals whose fodder is spared. Let us take the words one at a time because each one is carefully chosen. Sahitya means literature, but its root meaning is beautiful. It comes from sahita, meaning joined together. The ancient critics define literature as shabda and artha, word and meaning in perfect union. So the very word for literature means harmony. Sangeeta is music, from sam plus the root gai, to sing, literally singing together. Classically, it includes three things: song, instrument, and dance. Kala means art or fine skill, and delightfully, the same word means a digit of the moon, a small sliver of light. Art, the language whispers, is a sliver of light added to raw existence. Vihina means utterly devoid of, from the root ha, to abandon. Not just lacking these things, but forsaken by them. Then comes the hammer, sakshat, a wonderful word meaning before your very eyes, literally in visible form. Bhartrhari is insisting, I am not speaking in metaphor. Such a person is sakshat pashu, visibly, actually a beast. Puchcha vishanhina, merely lacking the tail and the horns. That is the only difference the poet will concede. And then the final line where the wit turns lethal. Trinam na khadan napi jeevamanah. Though he eats no grass, he goes on living. Tad bhagadheyam paramam pashunam. And that is the supreme good fortune of the beasts. Do you see the joke? The cows and the goats should celebrate. This two-legged beast, by some miracle, does not compete with them at the trough. His single contribution to the animal kingdom is his absence from the pasture. Now, where does this verse come from? Bhartrhari lived around the 5th century of the Common Era, and legend remembers him as a king of Ujjain who renounced his throne. He left behind 3 collections of 100 verses each: the Niti Shataka on worldly wisdom, the Shringara Shataka on love, and the Vairagya Shataka on renunciation. Our verse comes from the Niti Shataka, from its opening section, the chapter on fools. And notice which fool he targets here. Not the man who lacks information, the man who lacks cultivation, the man whom beauty has never entered and never changed. Beneath the humor lies a profound philosophy. The Sanskrit word for a beast, Pashu, is related to pasha, which means a noose, a fetter. The Pashu is the bound one, the creature tied to its instincts, unable to step outside its programming. Another famous verse makes this explicit. Food, sleep, fear, and mating are common to men and animals alike. It is dharma, the higher life, that belongs to man alone. An animal eats, fears, sleeps, reproduces. It cannot pause to be moved by a sunset. But the moment you are stirred by a melody that serves no survival purpose whatsoever, in that moment you have slipped the noose. Art is the first cutter of fetters. Indian aesthetics has a beautiful name for this experience, rasa, which literally means taste or savor. The person capable of rasa is called a sahridaya, one with heart. And the great philosopher Abhinavagupta made an astonishing claim. He said the tasting of rasa is the twin brother of tasting the absolute itself. When you are fully absorbed in music, your grasping little ego briefly dissolves, and that dissolution is a rehearsal for the deepest spiritual experience. So the person without art has not merely missed some entertainment. He has closed the most accessible doorway to self-transcendence that ordinary life offers. Notice also the poet's choice of the word jivamana, merely continuing to live, not flourishing, not experiencing, just metabolizing. The verse quietly separates survival from life. And this insight is not India's alone. Aristotle wrote that a life of mere feeding and pleasure is a life fit for cattle. Almost the same sentence in Greek. Confucius taught that a person is aroused by poetry, established by ritual, and perfected by music. Charles Darwin, near the end of his life, confessed with sorrow that decades of pure fact grinding had destroyed his taste for poetry and music, and he called it a loss injurious to the intellect and to moral character. Modern neuroscience agrees. Music and art engage reward, memory, and bonding circuits all at once, and experiences of awe and being moved measurably quiet the brain's anxious self chatter. And doesn't the verse land even harder today? Endless scrolling, endless content sliding past our eyes. That is precisely what the verse calls grazing, trinam khadan. The question is not whether you consume. Every beast consumes. The question is whether you savor, discern, and create. So let me leave you with 3 questions to carry. First, in the last month, when were you last genuinely moved by something beautiful? Not just occupied, but moved. Can you feel the difference in your own body? Second, which hours of your day are grazing and which are savoring? Third, what is your kala, the one art you are cultivating rather than consuming? And if the answer is none, what did the 10-year-old you love that you abandoned along the way? And here is a practice, 15 minutes a day. Take in one work of art with total attention, one poem read twice, one piece of music with your eyes closed and your phone in another room, one painting looked at for 5 whole minutes. Then say aloud in 2 sentences what it made you feel and how the artist achieved it. That little act of articulation turns consumption into cultivation. Once a week, make something small yourself. 4 lines of verse, a hummed tune, a sketch. Quality does not matter. The act of making is what walks you out of the pasture. And whenever you catch yourself scrolling on autopilot, whisper the poet's own words to yourself. Trinam Khardan, I am grazing. Then either engage fully or put it down. Because Bhartrhari's verse is finally not an insult to anyone else. It is a mirror held up with a smile. Tail and horns are optional. The music is not.
साहित्यसङ्गीतकलाविहीनः साक्षात् पशुः पुच्छविषाणहीनः तृणन्न खादन्नपि जीवमानस्तद्भागधेयं परमं पशूनाम्